All right, well, thank you for taking the time to join us today, whatever time it may be. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And we're really looking forward to welcoming you all to this Triennial World Conference FAQ webinar session. We are really looking forward to welcoming members to the TWC in Ottawa and to seeing so many of you in person. The TWC, it's a very vital moment for ACWW members to come together, share voices and perspectives, and collectively shape the direction of our work, ensuring that the organization moves forward in a way that is rooted in member agency and driven by what matters most to our membership. This webinar will guide you all through key TWC processes and some frequently asked questions to help everyone feel prepared. Some of today's content will be especially important for members who are not able to attend in person, particularly around applying for proxy voters, voting for area presidents, and submitting triennial reports. You will be hearing from some of our colleagues today on voting procedures. Our Executive Director, Tish Collins, will be speaking about proxy voting, seating arrangements in the conference hall, conference tours, and the craft markets. And our Advocacy Director and Conference Manager, Nick Newland-Eschner, will cover registration, the call for triennial reports. And we'll finish with a Q&A session to address any additional or outstanding questions. I would also like to acknowledge and warmly welcome the board members who are here joining us today. We really thank you for representing the membership at the board level and for being here for this important conversation to listen, engage, and hear directly from our members. And in particular, it is my pleasure to welcome our world president, Magdi de Kock. I would now like to invite her to share a few words of welcome with us before we begin.
Thank you very much, Casey, and hello, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for your attendance. I wish to thank the staff for making this webinar possible, and I am looking forward to welcoming you and meeting you at the Triennial World Conference, would you believe it, in a few weeks' time. Thanks, Casey. Let's go on with this webinar now. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Magdi. I will begin by sharing my screen and allowing my colleagues Nick and Tish to speak on the beginning of the registration process for when people arrive at the hotel in Ottawa. So let me just get this up for everyone. Okay. Put this into presenter mode. All right. All right, so to begin, registration.
Great. Thank you so much, Casey, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Really nice to see you all. When you arrive at the Westin Hotel in Ottawa, you'll be able to check in at the front desk as normal with a hotel. They'll be expecting you and they're very much looking forward to greeting you. They're a really wonderful, friendly team at the hotel who we've got to know well over the last few years. Depending on your exact time of your arrival, there's almost certain to be a member of ACWW staff or some volunteers sat with a beaming smile greeting you as well. If it's 3 a.m, there's less likely, but the rest of the time you'll probably find one of us there. As normal, when you check into a hotel, they will ask for a card, a credit or debit card to take a security deposit. This is a formality and it just covers things like the use of the minibar or additional meals in the hotel restaurant outside of our conference package that are already paid for. The card isn't charged, but a hold is placed. So it's just ensuring that any costs incurred will be covered. I say this is fairly standard at hotels. Now, getting around the hotel, you'll find that there are lots of lifts or elevators. I'll probably use elevators for international appeal, but in the UK we call them lifts. Hopefully we're all on the same page. To use the elevators, you have to use your hotel room key for security in the building. and you'll need to tap it on the sensor outside to call the elevator, and then tap in which floor that you want to use. Now, this is a really serious request from us. There are also escalators, moving stairways in the hotel. If you feel unstable on your feet, or if you find escalators unnerving, or if you're not comfortable with them, please do use the large elevators. For those of you who are in Malaysia, I can absolutely assure you there are many more lifts, elevators. They are significantly faster than they were in the hotel in Malaysia, so you won't be in long queues to try and get on them. But please, if you're unstable, use the elevators. It's much, much safer. Actual in-person registration will take place on the 4th floor of the hotel. This will be very, very clearly signposted, and there's plenty of space. So you'll be able to, it won't be queuing down flights of stairs or anything silly like that. We'll have multiple registration stations, as you would expect. Those of you who have been to a Triennial World Conference before. When you approach the stations, please make sure you have your passport or some ID with you. This just makes it a lot easier to confirm your name and speed up the process. Once we've done that, we'll hand over your conference credentials, the usual credentials that you wear around your neck throughout the conference, and of course your conference bag full of goodies and paperwork for the event. You're then completely free to enjoy your time, chat to old friends, make new friends, and relax. And of course, the area meetings that afternoon. If you're a lead delegate, which you will hear about more later in this presentation, and you will have paperwork, you will also be directed to an additional desk so that you can collect your voting papers and sign for them to say that you've done so. And that's really, really crucial to make sure that you do have those papers and you keep them safe. We'll deal with questions and answers, as Casey said, a little later, and I'll hand back. Thanks, Casey.
Thank you, Nick. Now we will move on to seating arrangements in the conference hall during the conference session. So Tish, please.
Thanks, Katie. Hello, everyone. So seating arrangements. During the Triennial World Conference, seating in the hall, which will be the Confederation Ballroom on the hotel floor plan maps, will be divided into 2 designated areas. Voting delegates need to enter the hall through the designated voting doors, where your credentials will be checked to establish the voting strength of the session. You will be sat at the front of the hall so that when a vote is called, the tellers can see the votes that need to be counted. For non-voting attendees, you will enter via the other doors and will proceed to sit in the section behind the voting delegates. For the opening and closing ceremonies, the ACWW celebration, there will be free seating throughout the hall, and attendees are encouraged to mix delegations and sit with people they may not have met before. Please note that there will be some reserved seating for guests at the front of the hall. Thanks, Casey.
Thank you. So now we will move on to the voting procedures. We have a wonderful video to share with you all that will cover lead delegates in their role, acquiring voting papers, voting on resolutions and recommendations during conference sessions, as well as the election for the Board of Trustees. So I will just stop sharing my screen for a moment to hand over to Nick.
I will just say we've had a few issues with audio this morning, so please do turn your sound up. And there are also subtitles throughout the video if you have any trouble with the audio. Sorry, folks. I've just seen from the chat that there seems to be complete loss of audio. Do bear with me. Let me see if I can fix that. Sorry. There we go. Apologies. Right, we'll try that again, folks. Very sorry for the difficulty. You get to see all the lovely faces of the central office staff all over again.
Hello and welcome to this handy guide to the voting procedures at ACWW's upcoming 31st Triennial World Conference.
We know that every conference is slightly different, and first-time attendees or voters can find the process complicated or overwhelming. We want to make it as clear and easy as possible.
As well as being a fantastic opportunity to see old and make new friends, the Triennial World Conference serves a crucial function for ACWW, as it is the organisation's highest deliberative and policy-making forum.
The conference will feel like one all-inclusive event, but actually serves two functions laid out in the Constitution of ACWW, covering the business of the conference and business of the general meeting.
This general meeting business includes receiving audited financial statements, a financial report and financial management report, and the presentation of the budget for the next triennium.
It also sets the membership dues for the next triennium, elects the trustees by secret ballot, can amend the Constitution, and considers and adopts or rejects resolutions and recommendations for ACWW members to act on.
The conference business elements include the reports of the board and areas, a central office report, and reports from member societies, which collectively are presented as a triennial report of work.
For many elements of the conference and general meeting, it is necessary for members to vote on decisions in conference sessions. We would like to take a few minutes to explain how this works.
ACWW's voting process is based on the category of society membership, and each member society must, as part of the preparation for the conference, nominate a lead delegate who is responsible for collecting voting and ballot papers and ensuring that they are cast appropriately. The form for this was sent out with Conference Information Number 9 on 8th of January 2026 and must be received by ACWW Central Office by 16th of February 2026.
Once a society has nominated its lead delegate, the process for in-person registration becomes a little different. If you are a lead delegate, when you arrive at the registration desk at the Westin Hotel in Ottawa, you will collect all your normal bits and pieces like the conference bag and conference credentials. You'll also sign a register acknowledging that we have given you the voting papers for your society. These are crucial, and if lost, will not be replaced to avoid any voting confusion, so please keep them safe.
Coloured voting papers are issued with the colour and number shown corresponding to the relevant conference session. For example, Conference Session 1 may have green voting papers with a number 1 shown, while Conference Session 2 will have a different colour. If you are carrying multiple votes, which we'll discuss in a moment, you'll be given multiple voting papers for each session.
Category 1 voting member societies are entitled to carry 5 votes. Many societies will ask their lead delegate to distribute these votes among their delegations, whilst others will hold all 5.
Category 2 voting member societies are entitled to carry 2 votes, and Category 3 voting member societies are entitled to carry 1 vote. As Category 6 members, board members are entitled to carry 1 vote, but should not also be a lead delegate for a society.
We'll cover the voting processes shortly, but first we want to discuss the 2 types of majority needed during the conference. Voting on policy resolutions and recommendations and other procedural elements are passed on the basis of a 50% plus 1 vote majority of those societies present and eligible to vote.
However, constitutional amendments require 75% of those societies present and eligible to vote to be successful. The voting strength the possible total number of votes available to be cast in that session, and the relevant majority numbers will be announced at the start of each conference session that includes voting.
The main conference hall will have multiple doors, which will be very clearly labeled and staffed by ACWW and volunteers. If you are a lead delegate, you must enter using the voting doors, and if you have shared any of your voting papers with delegation members, they must enter with you at the same time. Your credentials will mark you as a lead delegate, and no other members will be allowed through these doors carrying voting papers unless accompanied by their lead delegate.
Non-voting attendees should use the other doors into the conference hall. Once in the hall, it is crucial that you stay in the assigned areas, either voting or non-voting, to ensure no confusion around the voting strength of the session.
If you miss the start of a conference session, you will not be allowed to enter the voting doors late, as it will change the voting strength of that session. So please ensure you are prompt and you have your delegation together when you approach the doors to enter. All attendees must be wearing their credentials at all times.
When a motion is presented to conference, the chair of the session, often the world president, will call for voting delegates to raise their voting papers either for the motion, against the motion, or in abstention to the motion. If the for vote is clearly unanimous or an overwhelming consensus majority, it may not be necessary to conduct a full count. If the vote is closer, the tellers will conduct a full count of votes for, against and abstaining, and these results will then be presented to the chair for announcement to the conference.
ACWW uses the term trustees and board members interchangeably to refer to members of the Board of Trustees. This board is elected at the Triennial World Conference. This process takes place in two phases. An online secret ballot is held to elect area presidents, ensuring that the widest possible number of member societies in each area is represented in electing their area president. This process happens before the Triennial World Conference, with the votes recorded securely and only opened in front of the independent scrutineer at the same time that the main election ballots are counted.
Each Category 1, 2, and 3 society will be asked for contact details of their official representative who will be voting for them online for the area president. This representative will be sent the details for the access portal and clear instructions on how to vote online, with a specified window of time to cast their votes. All other board members are voted for by secret ballot by those present at the conference during the election, which will be held on the evening of Monday, 27th of April.
The room used for the election will be announced in the published conference programme and verbally during the preceding afternoon sessions. To avoid crowding and confusion, only lead delegates and any of the delegation carrying voting papers should make their way to the election room between 6 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. on Monday the 27th. Ballot papers will be issued to the lead delegate, who will again have to sign to say they have received them.
All board members need to obtain 50% plus one of the eligible votes to be declared elected. You can choose to vote yes or no by each candidate's name on the ballot paper. Certain board positions have more than 2 candidates standing, and this may mean a second ballot is required. It is also possible that no candidate receives 50% plus 1 vote in the first round. If this happens, a second ballot will be held on the evening of the 28th of April.
Once the election voting has concluded, the votes will be counted by the tellers, overseen by the independent scrutineer. Results of the election will be announced during the conference, and the new Board of Trustees takes office at the conclusion of the 31st Triennial World Conference.
We look forward to seeing you at the Triennial World Conference in Ottawa, Canada this year.
Thank you so much, Nick. I hope that the audio and the volume was all right for anyone, but just to let you know, this video that was just shared, as well as the webinar, will be available on the ACWW website later this week if there's anything you want to revisit. And of course, if you have any questions from any of the content, we will be able to address them in the Q&A section. All right, I'm just going to go back to sharing my screen. Oh, okay. through all of these. All right, so now we will have an overview of proxy voters. This is very key information for any member society who is not able to attend the Triennial World Conference in person. You are entitled to apply for a proxy voter. So I will now pass over to Tish with more details.
Thanks, Casey. So proxy voting. If a voting member society, category 1, 2 or 3, is not able to send a representative to the Triennial World Conference, they may apply for a proxy vote. This is a request that an observer casts votes on behalf of the society unable to attend, to vote on resolutions and recommendations, and vote in the officer elections at this Triennial World Conference only. We've already in the video covered the area presidents' elections, which is outside this process. Although a non-attending society cannot insist the proxy voter cast the vote in a particular way, it is possible to make requests or give an indication of how they would like the vote used. If a proxy vote is requested, the following procedure must be followed, and it will be detailed in the conference information bulletin being sent later this week. The society must contact Central Office to request a proxy vote by the deadline date in the conference information, which will be 26th of February, by filling in the form and sending documents showing that they are the authorised to make the request. The ACWW Executive Director, me, will contact an observer registered to attend the conference and ask if they are willing to cast a vote on behalf of the society making the request and become the proxy voter. We will ensure the correct voting papers are issued to the named proxy. A record will be kept of all proxy arrangements, and the observer and non-attending member society will be given each other's contact details so they can get in touch.
Thank you very much, Tish. So now we will pivot to the call for triennial reports. This is also very important information for not just members who are attending in person, but those who are unable to attend. This call out goes to all of our member societies. So Nick, please go ahead.
Thanks, Casey. So if you've been to the World Conference before, you know that you will receive a printed copy of ACWW's Triennial Report, and this includes updates from the board, from central office, from projects, and from our other work, but also reports from member societies. So this week, we will be sending a form for member societies to complete online, outlining your activities, your priorities, and a few other questions about the work you've done over the past 3 years. Please ensure this is completed in good time. We would love to hear from as many member societies as possible. If you get that message and you are not if you don't feel you are the appropriate person from a member society to be filling it in, please do pass it on to whoever it is that would be, whether that's the president, the secretary, whoever it is in your society that would normally reply. I would probably add this is a great opportunity to make sure we have the correct contact details for your society. These things always change a little and can always benefit from being updated. Thanks, Casey.
Thank you, Nick. Yes, just to re-emphasize the importance of ensuring we hear from as many voices as possible. We really want this triennial report and every report at ACWW anyways, not just the triennial report, but we want to make sure we are hearing from our members the things that are of importance to you all, your activities, so that we're able to help guide ACWW's direction based on what's important to you, and we're able to learn from our members that way. So yes, please do ensure that you complete the form as soon as possible. So now on to some more of the fun bits, aside from the business aspects of the conference. Attending the mid-conference tours are often one of the things that people look forward to the most, these excursions. So I will pass back over to Tish to share some more information.
Thanks, Casey. So the mid-conference trips are for everyone. It's included in the registration fee. And when you registered to attend the conference, you indicated your priority for each of the 5 half-day trips available on 29th of April, which is ACWW Day. I'm pleased to say it looks like everyone has been allocated their first choice. You'll be reminded of what you signed up for, and this will also be marked on your credentials. Refreshments are included. Tours will be leaving from the hotel between 8 and 8:30 a.m. by coach. You'll have time to have your breakfast before you go, and there will be signs to show you the meeting points. Please ensure you're in the lobby in good time and only go to the coach you're directed to. Coaches will bring you back to the hotel in time for the afternoon ACWW celebration. As there is an outside element to most of the trips, it is advisable to wear comfortable shoes and perhaps take a waterproof jacket or umbrella if rain is forecast. We will keep an eye on the weather and let you know the forecasts when we're in Ottawa. Crafts Market. We're encouraging members to donate some handicraft work to sell for the Rural Women in Action Fund. This has been a popular part of conference, and I recall from Malaysia, some delegates brought along things made by members in their society, but who were not coming to conference, as it enabled them to make a contribution as well. Something light and easy to carry would be ideal. Conference information number 6 has all the details of the charity collections and the rules of the competitions. They are also on the website. Thanks, Casey.
Thank you. All right, so that wraps up sort of the main elements that we have discussed so far for these TWC processes, and we will now open up to a Q&A session, questions that you have that are outstanding, anything that we missed that you would like more information on. But I would just like to provide a quick disclaimer that if you have any specific questions or concerns about your registration, your conference registration specifically, to please contact us by email, because we'll be just addressing general FAQs here. So yes, I guess, Nick, I'm not sure if you're monitoring the Q&A or...
I am. The only question in the Q&A thus far was around the sound, which we've resolved, but Ros Cooper has got her hand up. So Ros, if you bear with me a moment, I will change your settings so that we can see you. Bear with me just a second. Okay, Ros, you should be able to now switch on your camera and audio so we can see and hear you.
Whether that's an advantage or not, I wouldn't like to say. Don't answer that. 2 questions. Will we receive the finance papers before the conference? The budget and the report and accounts and what have you? And when will proxies be allocated? And how do we tell you we're happy to be a proxy if that's appropriate?
Shall I take some of those? Would that be useful? Yeah. Hello, Ros. Yeah, the finance papers will be available at the conference. They'll be handed out before the finance session, and they'll be, full of documents as in the past, not necessarily as in Malaysia, but they will be there when the treasurer is giving her report, and so on. On the proxy voters, well, we're sending out the request later this week for people to indicate that they would like a proxy voter. And when we've now got all the registrations in, so we can see from who we have, and once we know who the lead delegates are, because obviously if you're a lead delegate for your own society, you can't be a proxy for someone else. We'll contact people. But if you would like to send me a message to say that you've got 1, 2, 6 people willing to be proxies, I know Hampshire's been very good on this in the past. I'd love to hear from you. Please just drop me an email.
Thank you.
And as soon as we get them tied up, I'll work on it as soon as I start getting requests in, so that I'll contact people.
Thank you. Can I say, I do think in this day of emails, we probably ought to be able to have the finance papers before we get to Canada, because there'll be a lot to read for those of us that are interested.
If I may come back on that, the audited accounts for the 23-24 are on the website. So the 25, the auditors are working on them now. We don't, I know, because our year end is 31st of December, so we haven't got everything in yet. So I know emails can speed things up, but they can't always speed auditors up.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. What about the budget?
Yeah, that will come at the conference as well.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ross and Tish, for answering the questions. I'm just keeping an eye on the Q&A here. We've got a question from Tamara asking, there was going to be a second session for the resolutions and amendments to resolutions. Is this still happening? I believe Nick said he would answer this one.
Sure. Yes, we're very happy to do that. There have been some amendments to resolutions and some adjustments as expected through that process. So we will be organising that additional session, but at the point that they are finalised, I don't have an exact date for you yet. Just looking at a couple of other questions in the Q&A, Karen Engelhardt asks, what time are the area meetings and the introductory meetings scheduled for the 26th? And the answer is, at 1 p.m. we have welcome session 1, and at 3:30 p.m. we have welcome session 2. In terms of making those available to the widest number of people, they are repeat sessions. So if you've been to one, you don't necessarily need to go to the other, and it will be easier to fit more people in if you don't. And the area meetings are all happening between 5:30 and 6:30 on the same date. Just looking then, a question from Faye Spencer asking about dress codes. Do we need to wear dress code during tours? There are no dress codes for the Triennial World Conference. We obviously encourage people to wear their glammest and most wonderful for the gala dinner, and it's generally, the opening and closing ceremonies. People will often choose to dress more smartly, or may wear traditional national costume, which is absolutely welcome and wonderful. But there is no specific dress code for this Triennial World Conference. The previous conference was a specific circumstance because of cultural sensitivities in the country itself. So let's Fito, are other board members other other than the area president, can they also be voted for online? No, the election process is as we've just gone through in the video. So the board members are elected at the World Conference, which is why there is the option for proxy voters if member societies aren't able to attend in person. For area presidents, I think 3 conferences ago now, the board took the view that it was really important to try and spread that as far and wide to ensure local representation. And that's why we have the online voting for the area presidents.
If I just might add, Nick, just in case anyone doesn't know, the other positions that are voted on at the conference, it's the world president, deputy world president, treasurer, secretary, and then the board leads for different working groups such as partnerships, advocacy, knowledge sharing and local activities, community transformation and projects. Is that all of them? I think that might be them all. So those are the positions that are voted for in person. So if you are not able to attend in person, your proxy voter would be able to vote for you in those elections.
I'm just whizzing through some other questions in the Q&A and the chat that I know I can handle, and then I'll hand over to someone else to take the others. Just in terms of online from Jean Van Poppel, will there be possibility for online participation for part of the conference? Yes, absolutely. And we'll be announcing this very soon. This will just be for the conference sessions, not the additional activities. And we are trying to keep the cost of that as low as possible to facilitate as many people as possible joining. But we will be publishing that shortly. In terms of Pat Weitzman's question on registration areas to be open in the first few days of the conference to accommodate attendees arriving on days other than the 26th. Yes, absolutely, as necessary. We will also have day delegates attending. So we will be doing that as necessary. No problem, as normal. The question on the duties of the lead delegate, I'm going to ask that you refer to the circular, the conference information that was sent out. I'll post a link to that in the website in just a moment, but that explains all of that. And then Faye Spencer is asking, if we are flying into Ottawa, what time should we arrive? So to get transport to the hotel and attend meetings, is there any transport to and from the airport? There are, so the first activities are the welcome sessions are at 1 p.m. or 3:30 p.m. on the 26th. Registration opens at 9 a.m. on the 26th. You are welcome any point from then. It's around between 20 and 30 minute transit from the airport by taxi. There are also buses and other local transit options. There's already some information on the website and there will be more coming soon. And I can see a couple of people have asking about parking at the hotel. There is parking at the hotel, limited spaces. There is also quite widespread city parking. We do not have any reserved parking or concessionary parking for ACWW because there are several events happening all at the same time at the hotel. So there is information on the Westin website about parking, and we will try and get that information duplicated onto our website, but it is not something that we have any control over. Just checking, I think that's everything I can handle, so I will shut up and hand on to the next person.
Sure. All right. Thank you so much, Nick. There's a question in the Q&A about craft donations. Can they be one of, or do there need to be multiple items to sell? Do they need to be made by ACWW members? From Nancy Burth.
Shall I do that? I'll reply to Nancy. No, craft donations, the more the merrier. You know, if they don't have to be ACWW members, but they're to be sold for the Rural Women in Action Fund. And we'd just be very grateful for donations. They can be exactly one-off or multiples of things. It really is up to the choice of the person that's kindly donating. Sure. I see, where's she gone? In the webinar chat, Sharon Davy Martin, you can only vote for one society. You can't cast votes for other societies. So the other New Zealand societies will have to request proxy voters, and we'll have to do a formal arrangement for that. But I'm afraid you won't be able to do that. There was one presentation seconding of resolution. Will it be done differently than before? Well, the standing orders, the rules of procedure allows for the moving of the resolution by somebody and then the seconding. I don't really know what you're expecting that might be done differently from before. That there's a supporting statement for each of the resolutions that can be read out, and then there'll be a limited number of speakers for and against. But the moving and the seconding is fairly standard. If your previously registered member cannot attend, how do you substitute? That is.
The
I'm
best way to
Nick's
deal
going to
with
answer that.
yeah, as Casey said, we're not going to deal with specific individual queries at this stage. But if you contact central office, if you contact the World Conference, Casey may be able to give better clarity. But we will need specifics so that we can address it appropriately.
Thank you. That was going to be my response. So appreciate it. And then I just see a question in the Q&A about visas. People still waiting for visas. Can ACWW help? Nick, I'm going to hand that one over
Sure.
to you.
No problem at all. So just to give a little background on the visa issue, we have been working with Ottawa Tourism and with the Immigration and Refugee Canada Service for 18 months on this issue to try and make the process as easy as possible. We know it can be frustrating. We have done everything that is possible to be done to ensure that visas are approved as quickly as possible. We understand that there are a handful of visas that have been declined. We are understanding also that there are a handful of visas still outstanding that are slowly being processed. Part of that, I believe I may be wrong, but I believe in the context of Namibia, part of the confusion is, or part of the delay of the process is that they also have to be processed in South Africa rather than locally in Namibia, at least from past experience. So that may be part of the delay. Yeah, exactly. From the Q&A. Thank you, Hermione and Amelia. If you have given us all of the information we have requested, so the registration numbers, the application numbers, etc., we have provided those to Immigration Canada in support of your applications. That is all we can do. We can't accelerate the processing time. The processing time is their internal issue between the South Africa office, in this case, and the national system in Canada. But we have done all we can, and we are continuing to do everything we can to put pressure on that process to speed it up. So hopefully they will come through very, very soon.
Thank you, Nick. Yes, I know that is something that is of concern for some of our delegates who are looking to attend, but the point of us registering our event with the Immigration in Canada was to help I don't know what word to support or validate your application that you are coming for a legitimate event that should hopefully help support any visa application. So yes, I think those are all of the questions that I have seen now in the chat and Q&A, if there's anything else.
There's one, Casey. Tamara
Sure.
Stevenson, some of us are flying from Australia, won't arrive till after 4 p.m. Will there be another opportunity for us to be part of the area meetings or receive information from this meeting? I'd imagine so. It's very much up to the area president. And it may be, if it is obvious that most of the Australian or New Zealand delegates won't be able to arrive till I get to be at the hotel for 5 o'clock or something at the earliest, then there may be some flexibility in the start of that area meeting. But if we know your arrival times, we'll certainly speak to the area president about that. But if not, there's one at the end as well. There's the one at the beginning and then the one at the end. And each area president, I think, likes to do it slightly differently.
All right. If there are any more outstanding questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Obviously, if not, then that's wonderful. We've answered lots of questions.
If I can just jump in, Casey, the video about the voting procedures is now live on the website. And as soon as this meeting finishes, we'll get this video of this webinar uploaded as well, so that everyone's got access to that and you can share it with anyone in your delegations who you know is coming.
Thank you, Nick. We've got a question from Faye Spencer asking, may a delegate arrive on the 25th of April? Will the hotel reservation be included?
No, arrival day's the 26th. Am I correct there? Yes. So no, they'll have to book the night before. That's not included in the conference package.
Mm-hmm. That is something we do. We have gotten a few questions from members just via email asking about booking additional nights at the hotel, either before or after the conference. And I believe that has to be done directly through the Westin's website. I believe, yep. Is that? Yeah. And there is a phone number that we can provide to if you would prefer to speak to someone, but there is no contact email at this stage to arrange any additional nights. But I think I see Ross has her hand raised here.
Yeah, I was just going to answer Ros's question about left luggage. The simple answer is yes, to an extent. If 500 people turn up and ask to leave their luggage at reception, it's not going to work. We'll be completely overwhelmed. If it's a few people, I'm sure it won't be an issue. We will do everything we can to facilitate that. I think this is, we want to give open answers as honestly as possible. So the honest answer is we will do our best. We know that there has been difficulty trying to get additional nights prior to the conference at the Westin, purely because they have 3 other conferences happening in the 10 days before the conference, before our conference, and there is simply not rooms available. That may change as the other conferences get closer to their final dates and review how many rooms they're holding. It may be possible that some rooms become available. I appreciate that that is frustrating, but there is absolutely nothing we can do about it. There are several other hotel properties at sensible rates very nearby. Yeah, great that there's been other accommodation. We appreciate that that is frustrating, but it's something that is simply out of our control, I'm afraid. They've had other conference bookings in place, but we've done our best in terms of luggage. If there is a real issue and they are not able to store luggage, I'm sure that we will be able to stash some suitcases in our office spaces as necessary. We don't want anyone being inconvenienced, so we'll absolutely do our best to make sure everyone's looked after.
The Kate Jenkins is asking, is there a discount code for booking additional nights in the Westin? You've just answered before the conference. It's difficult at the moment in terms of rooms. After the conference, if they know that, or you tell them that you are staying on for the conference, but they will only, I think it's up to 3 nights. There may be a conference rate, but we haven't got a specific discount code that we can give you for subsequent nights. And Pat Weitzman's asking, to whom and when can item donations for the craft sale be given? On the 26th, on Sunday the 26th, please, Pat, we'll be collecting the charity donations and the competition entries and the craft items. All then there will be designated areas. All of our rooms for the conference will be on the 4th floor, so there won't be far to go. They'll be near the ballroom, which is where our conference meeting will be. And that was, unless arrangements have changed, looking at Nick's face.
Just to clarify, all of the area meetings will be in other rooms on various floors. The main conference is taking place on the 4th floor, but there are times when we are using other rooms.
Okay.
All right. I'm just seeing in the chat, we have a question from Louise Taylor asking how many delegates are attending. We have approximately 350 delegates attending in person, not including day delegates. I think there's around 12 or 15 day delegates, and we're excited to open the online registration soon in the coming months ahead of the TWC, that anyone who is unable to attend in person can, yes, join via Zoom as well. there any other questions?
There's not a question, but a comment. Faye is saying how nice it is to see us again. I'd say, well, I'm really pleased that people are participating today and have been able to join us. So although I can't see all your faces, I'm pleased to be in the company of you today and looking forward to seeing you in Ottawa.
We have another question in the chat. Are coordinators only selected in person at conference, or can they be a proxy as well? So coordinators are an entirely separate process. They are not voted on by election. We accept coordinator nominations on a rolling basis at any time throughout the year. And that nomination is then presented to the Board of Trustees, typically at their bi-monthly meetings, and the nomination is considered, and I would say 99.9% of the time, even 100%, they're usually approved. But in Malaysia, we did have on anyone who was a coordinator, they got a fun little ribbon saying that they were a coordinator, or a first timer ribbon. So people were able to point each other out and connect if they were a fellow coordinator or a first time attendee, that sort of thing. But a coordinator, if you're asking if a coordinator could be a proxy, I wouldn't see why not, as long as they're not already a part of a voting delegation. I think they could volunteer to be a proxy voter. Yes? Okay.
If you're not carrying a vote for someone else, then you could offer to be a proxy voter.
Yes. All right. Thank you. All right. Any other final questions or comments before we wrap up? No? Nick
Raised hand from Maureen Levinson.
sure.
With me. Let's find Maureen and we'll do the magic. Okay, Maureen, you should be able to turn your camera on, should you wish to, or turn your mic on.
Icon. I only want to know if we can walk the world, please.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a world conference. It's a good idea.
Yeah. The Women Walk the World Day is ACWW Day,
Yes.
the 29th of April, while we're
Yes.
there, which is a fabulous opportunity. So the tours are all taking place that morning on the 29th. We did consider organising a route march around Ottawa and looking at statues and things, and then we suddenly, Marie and I set off, and it was so steep in places. We thought that half of the conference are not going to make this, so it will actually be not fair. So yes, though it will be the tours in the morning and then an ACWW celebration after lunch on the 29th.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. Any other final questions? Final call for questions.
I've just put a long typed answer into the Q&A around the proxy voter process, just because there was a question on whether they could be handled at the conference. So just clarifying that process needs to be gone through as has been detailed, and put that in the Q&A.
Yeah. All right, wonderful. All right. Well, with that, I guess we will wrap up unless there are any more outstanding questions or comments, anything else that Tish, Nick, or Magdi would like to add? No? All right. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. As we come to the end of today's webinar, I'm glad that we were able to cover lots of frequent FAQs we receive about TWC processes, including the voting procedures, registration, etc. This was designed to help you feel informed and prepared for when you do come to the World Conference or are participating in voting. So I want to thank Tish and Nick and colleagues for sharing their time and guidance. And a sincere thank you to our members for your thoughtful questions and your engagement. Your participation is what ensures that the TWC truly reflects the voices and perspectives of our membership. So we're very much looking forward to coming together in Ottawa, reconnecting in person and online, and continuing to move forward together as an organization. So if you have any additional questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. We are always happy to help. So thank you, everyone, very much for joining.
Thanks, everyone. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.